Let's bring in Rob Shimshock. He's a education reporter for the Daily Caller. He followed the marches very closely. Where'd you get the 200,000 in NBC reported 800,000 in D.C.? Where'd you get the two?
I believe it were it was a figure arrived at by some experts who actually did like more of a scientific study instead of listening to propaganda. So I believe that figure was held by quite a few more reliable outlets, I'd say. So we reported 200,000. New York Times cited like around 180,000. CBS reported 200,000. But yeah, I would just like to tie this into, we're trying to believe these people who are promoting an agenda.
NBC's got it at 800,000. The people who did this study is a digital design and imaging service, DDIS, Virginia-based firm, uses aerial photos for calculating crowd size. They say the peak crowd size is 203,000 with a margin of error of 15%, reached at 1 p.m. in D.C. All right, now, when you saw these kids, you're the education reporter, you just heard my analysis of Chicago. You think they have any clue about any of that?
I don't think so. And really, the most frustrating thing about these kinds of protests is that nobody really shows up there to have a reasoned discussion about a hot-button issue bill. It's entirely emotion-driven. So you have these slogans out there like "enough is enough," "arms are for hugs," "protect kids, not guns." But the problem is no one disagrees with these statements. There's no one out there saying, no, we don't have enough school shootings, or that guns are somehow more valuable than kids. So what happens is you have this outlet of pure emotion. And ultimately, it's not really conducive to a reasoned discussion of the issues.
And it's not conducive to problem solving. Once you get into a situation where emotion overrides rational thought, you're never going to solve it. All right? And what you'll succeed in doing is making it worse. You know, those people in Chicago, I mean, they're scared. And they can't afford to move. Poor people living in government housing, a lot of them. And every day they walk out and these guys are armed to the teeth. I mean, they have every weapon in the world. And what are the cops doing? They're trying, I guess, but they're handcuffed, pardon the pun, with all these things that they can and can't do. Now, overall, I think it's a good thing that the kids get involved with the issues, even if they don't really know fundamentally how to solve the problem. I want them involved. Do you agree?
Yes, of course. And I would just say that the inflation of the numbers is a bit striking. And I don't like making the comparison lightly, but it is something that's very reminiscent to Nazi Germany, where you had these inflated war reports. You had the officials that be like reporting that, they held this territory that was lost months ago, and that, you had these inflated troop sizes. So it is very similar to that. Now, speaking about the actual students, I think that every media outlet probably has their, they've picked their favorite Marjorie Stoneman students. And what I saw actually was one tweet by a student named Patrick Petty, whose sister Elena died. And he asked Emma Gonzalez, who of course is one of the forerunners of the progressive media coverage, he asked her to stop using his sister's name. He mentioned that Elena had been a JROTC student and that she wouldn't have supported Gonzalez's calls for gun control. Now, his tweet got over 10,000 shares on Twitter and around 30,000 likes, but I believe only PJ Media and perhaps a couple of smaller outlets actually picked it up.
Well, you're never going to get fair media coverage. You're never going to get accurate media coverage. And, I appreciated the Daily Caller, I have to say, because I didn't know how many people were there. I didn't have the study until my researchers got on it. But you guys were on it fast, and you said, no, it wasn't 800,000, it was 200,000. That's a pretty big gap. And you were right, and that's what it was. Hey, Rob, we appreciate it very much. Thanks for taking the time. Nice to see you again.